There was a worship song that hit the headlines for its controversial nature. The established set of songs were being challenged by something fresh, different melody and a different way of looking at a time-honoured truth. It was heavily criticised. People didn't like the emotionality of the song. It felt blasphemous and pandered to the young of the day. Basically, people didn't want to sing it. As a worship leader for around 20 years, I've heard a fair few complaints about songs. However, this article was from a newspaper from 300 years ago, referencing the hymn "When I Survey the Wondrous Cross." Even old hymns were new ones. A couple of years ago, a fresh worship song came across the scene that challenged the perception of God's love. It reinforces the depth of love God has for us and emotionally connects us to the passion Christ went through in Gethsemane, the punishment and the cross. Or does it? I heard the title first off and I wondered if it was a mistake. The word reckless isn't particularly a positive word, or in fact, a word I would describe God at all. But was I wrong? How do them dictionaries define recklessness? The Oxford Dictionary, which for some is only second to the Bible, defines recklessness as behaviour that shows a lack of care about danger and the possible results of your actions. Now, without jumping to conclusions, let's look to the Bible. It is God's authoritative word, and so what we believe about God needs to come from there. Otherwise, like Proverbs 3, we lean on our own understanding, which isn't something we want to do when it comes to God. Jesus is our perfect example in everything. We need to remember that God was pretty experienced in love before we came along. Now, when we talk about a timeless being, we need to be aware we can't fully grasp the infinite scale. But the Trinity of God knew a loving tri-community between himself. See, even the language fails us here. Does the Trinity recklessly love itself? One of the more overt things we see the Trinity interacting is in the baptism of Jesus. The Spirit descends like a dove and we hear the Father's voice. What happens next? Jesus is thrust into the wilderness for 40 days without food. He's in a weakened state, tempted by Satan himself to eat, to worship and to throw himself in the temple. That's pretty reckless going, right? Well, no, it's not. Jesus' baptism and 40 days of fasting were to prepare himself for the ministry on earth, the salvation of us. This was part of the plan. Jesus needed to be tempted so he could overcome it. There was no recklessness involved, no devil may care, pun intended, and certainly he cared about the outcome. Let's move on to Jesus' ministry, where he began to upset the Pharisees by claiming to be God. We wouldn't get how angry this made people. It not only was offensive to the culture, but totally eroded their authoritative positions. To put it lightly, Jesus caused a stir. Several times he found himself in frankly dangerous situations where he was about to be stoned. An angry mob set against him for daring to claim that he was in fact God, the Eternal One. He was a clear sign of God's recklessness. Reckless love, as Jesus tells the truth, damn the consequences. Except it isn't. Throughout the Gospels, we clearly see Jesus picking and choosing his battles, not forgetting Jesus isn't just responding to the people who seek him out, but tactically teaching and reaching people. It's almost as if he had a plan. A lot of the time, Jesus is in places where he can't forcibly be taken. He knows that those who would move against him can't. Even the times when he's in danger, he somehow mysteriously moves through the crowd without it being harmed. No recklessness here. What about the cross itself? From Gethsemane, where Jesus is arrested, to his beatings and mockery, to his murder, there appears to be a nonsensical progress of pain and torture. You might even say it seems pretty reckless. Isaiah 53 is harrowing when we consider who Jesus was prophesied to be. He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain. Like one from whom people hide their faces, he was despised, and we held him in low esteem. Surely he took upon our pain and bore our suffering, yet we considered him punished by God, stricken by him and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities, and punishment that brought peace was on him. And by his wounds we are healed. We are like sheep, all have gone astray, each of us turned to our own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth. By oppression and judgment he was taken away. Yet who of his generation protested? For he was cut off from the land of the living. For the transgression of my people he was punished. He was assigned a grave with the wicked, and with the rich in his death, though he had done no violence, nor was any deceit in his mouth. Doesn't this scream recklessness? You know, I would agree. Except for the fact that all this sounds horrific, it was part of the plan. 1 Peter 1:20 says Jesus was chosen for us before the foundation of the world. The theory of God's reckless love falls down when there's a plan. There was no needless abandon, there was no carelessness, as the punishment itself was needed for our sin, with Jesus fully being sent and accepting the role of sacrificial lamb. There was a time when it looked reckless, the Saturday before the resurrection. The deliverer was dead, there seemed to be no hope. Resurrection Day destroyed all sense of recklessness. This was the plan all along. You are not saved by accident. It is fully faith in Christ's sacrifice, all out of chosen plan, secured and fulfilled love. Why am I bashing this song? The song really doesn't bother me actually all that much, because I know there are literally thousands of other worship songs that speak truth. But the truth really is important. As someone who regularly leads sung worship, and I find a pastoral element where we worship, we should be engaging with truth, affirming in the melodies right theology and doctrine we can apply to our lives. My issue is what it represents in our Christian culture of believing the song over God's word. If we believe God's love is reckless because the song says it is, but God's word doesn't, we've given God's authority over our lives to something else. Essentially, we begin to shape the Jesus we want rather than Jesus who is. Of course, our human nature wants to have the most comfortable, streamlined, easy form of God. But what if we strive to seek the true and living God? What we believe about God is important, regardless of how it makes you feel. Do you want God, or do you want what you think of God?